This is Wandering Universe. Today, I'll be exploring something weird and rare hovering the blue sky since we commenced our ancient history. So, let's go exploring. This is Planet Earth on screen. I have no idea why it starts here. Maybe it's a Google glitch thing. I don't know. But this is where you and I live, surrounded by space. We also have Mars as our next door neighbour, but we can't go there and say hi because it takes 4 years to get there. It shows our current technology on space travel doesn't harness spontaneous flights. So, as I spin this big blue marble around, you can see all the countries grouped together, as you can see right here. So you got Australia, you got Indonesia, you got Russia, you got India, you got Africa, Europe, yep, as you can see right here, the North Pole, South America, and then back over the Pacific Ocean. Wow. Very, very far, very, very spans indeed, like giant jigsaw puzzle pieces. But today, yes, I'm going to go back to the original spot. We're going on a journey into the unknown, a journey to explore this. Yes, that's right. We're going to explore UFOs, human strange phenomena with species from other worlds flying around the universe. UFO stands for Unidentified Flying Object. No big deal, right? Well, in one way it is, and another it isn't. They have been hanging around for more than 100 years. In fact, they've been aviating our planet for many thousands of years. Call it what you will. Flying saucer, spinning top, frisbee, the sombrero, magical orb, airship, spaceship, black triangle, a dud human attempt object, the hovering Dorito, and lots more. These objects have frequented the skies unawares for thousands of years, but according to Wikipedia in a condescending manner, that they have not achieved their current cultural prominence until the period after World War II. Oh, big words. Plausible deniability is the prime asset for propagandists to shut us up, blinding us even knowing these far-out things navigating the skies. It's like these propagandists have proven their 2 cents worth that we are the only intelligent life forms in the universe until these popped up out of nowhere, sometimes in broad daylight and sometimes in the middle of the night. Damn it, they thought. How can this be so? Well, this proves that there are intelligent life forms in the universe without parading their egos around. We do, and we've done a mighty fine job at that. UFOs come in all forms, shapes, sizes, colours and design. Some are square, round, triangular, cigar-shaped, and some look like a flying sombrero. Some have blinking lights, some have none. Some have distinct ways of inviting themselves in for a sticky peek, whilst others just float around quietly scanning military sites that poses a threat to them. The skeptic society of the doubtful mind still remains steadfast in their way of thinking. They utterly refuse to acknowledge that we are not the only intelligent life forms in the universe. I mean, the universe is so damn big, they view that as hogwash. What's worse is that this 1561 picture demonstrates some sort of strange phenomenon that appeared in their skies. It was like watching Bernard's magic show without human participation. Skeptics place this symbol with a superstitious connotation of a sundog. Say what? Sundog? Get out of here. It was described as a ferocious aerial raid battle, a battle overcoming the forces of evil and fighting for justice, peace, and freedom in the vortex of space. Think of Star Trek having a dogfight between 2 rivals.
Target that explosion and fire. Fire!
The battle went on for quite some time, pointing laser beams and firing photon torpedoes at each other until one of them crash-landed and died. The medieval peasants sure got fired up watching this thrilling airshow that climaxed their humdrum world. Today, airshows are nothing more than just petrol-guzzling airplanes doing some old daredevil burnouts. Okay, so there have been numerous hoaxes, pranks, and photoshopped fakes conjured up by idiots who just wanted their only 15 minutes of fame to ease their lonely lives. Take, for example, Ed Walters, a lonely and isolated builder who wanted to get some kicks out of being discovered. What did he do? He decided to set up a hoax to see if us idiots would fall for it. And guess what? He said, this will do, and we did, for several weeks. It was even featured in the 6 o'clock news. He finally fulfilled his ego need for attention. Nothing could go wrong. Besides, it made him famous. But he overstepped his sideshow borderline in 1990 on the day he and his family moved. The new owners moved in and discovered to their wondering surprise a toy model of a UFO poorly hidden in the attic. The new owners compared this find to the photographs that exhibited this abnormal object, and he got nabbed. The whole thing was a sham. Now, I'm not totally excluding hoaxes here. We've got to keep in mind that some UFOs are still out there using sophisticated technology that is unrecognizable to our current educated knowledge. The only time people want to do a flying saucer hoax is to get attention to ease their melodrama lives. Sightings have occurred regularly over the last 100 years, from people's backyards to picnic grounds to beaches, schoolyards, mountain trails, Area 51, military bases, and of course, you can't dismiss the Air Force. Yep, I'm sure they've come across these fun rides doing space burnouts, trying to outcompete alongside flying saucers' fancy maneuvers for years. And they still can't keep up. Take this footage, for example, of an Air Force pilot monitoring this little beauty. Moving right along, I'm going to show you the other footage that clings to the notion that these little darlings have been visiting our skies long before you could say goo goo gaga. You've got to remember that all these eccentric but cool objects don't use fuel. You know, oil we burn to keep our engines running so we can get to our destination in one massive hurry. Hell sure shows its fury. They are silent. It's so silent they don't leave petrol or water vapor trails behind. They probably use some type of warp engine technology filled with some plasma quantum stuff that makes them travel faster than the speed of light. And we still can't keep up with them. I wouldn't try drag racing them anytime soon. Here is another footage to prove my point.
Okay, I got one. He's turning in. I got one high right. I'm going down 6, no factor. I'm padlocked. Across the circle now, in the white cloud. I got the guy to fight you. I'm going up back. 2507 miles. Just medium and low. I got the one over at right 4. Good, I lost the guy down here in the water. Okay, I got it. No, come back the other way. Come back right, right hard. He's right 4 now, nose on. Weeze 070, 2.5 miles. Weeze, I'm down to right 2. They're coming back in. Extended out. Was that a good shot? Negative. Okay, I'm engaged. Southeast. Weeze emerges 011-4. Weeze, the second one coming in 3307. 2 miles. Unit via stealth, lack anything else. Engaged. 22 tires. There's a lock on something. 4 miles. Running away. No, he might be on a right turn. He is in a right turn. He's the second one coming in 3307. 2 miles.
Okay. Numerous countries like America, Russia, UK, Canada, Brazil, China, and yes, Down Under have investigated these uninvited guests since the event of World War II. Many of these government agencies will deny reality that there are space tourists from other galaxies far, far away doing a psychoanalysis of our primitive behaviour. Now, you must be thinking, why haven't they landed here? And say, we come in peace. That old cliche line. Well, to be honest, they don't want to. I don't blame them. Besides, we're too primitive to attempt close contact. Communication lines are out of bounds. They view our addictive and sadistic mannerisms as a hostile welcome. Our primed, battle-hardened egos are nothing but a torturous burden to them. In all seriousness, who really wants to be friends with us? And yes, us egotistical humans have been exaggerating the truth of our well-being for centuries, mimicking, imitating and copying these out-of-world spaceships so we can keep up with the Joneses. How stupid do we have to be? We have not grasped the concept that their technology that spans hundreds of thousands of years are so far ahead of our technology. This speaks for itself. We've got a very long way to go before we can be in league with these pre-ancient beings. Oh, speaking of which, lately I've come across a few people such as Graham Hancock here who totally dismissed the idea that pre-ancient beings did build the ginormous monuments. And what's with this drabby shirt? Did his puppy die? Don't get me wrong, Hancock brought pivotal viewpoints that opened up a portal of fascinating new technology to the engineering world, but he just totally went off the rails as soon as he propped up humans as the God-given creatures with mutant powers. I think he watched too many Marvel comic films. Alright, so he's one of these archaeologists who loves to dig up a relic whenever he gets anal about something. But surely he could improve his wardrobe a bit. Can you imagine him wearing a safari suit? Ooh, a bourgeois fashion icon of the world. Anyway, here is a segment from the Joe Rogan Show.
Institutions, especially when it concerns something as intimate and personal as our consciousness. And my view is the ancient world had the right attitude to this kind of thing, and the modern world does not, and that we can sit down and learn a lot from the ancient world. A lot of people ask me, you know, Hancock, you've been arguing that there's been a lost civilization in the human story, but what sort of civilization do you think it was? Well, one of the things I think is it was a civilization that used psychedelics. I think it was a civilization that emerged from shamanism, but did not stay at the hunter-gatherer stage, but that took the essence of shamanism and integrated it into a very different kind of civilization from our own, which pursued things in different ways. A lot of archaeologists have said to me, but we don't find any plastic bottles from the Ice Age. That means there was no advanced civilization during the Ice Age. Well, hang on. Maybe an advanced civilization might have decided never to get involved in plastic in the first place. Maybe there would have been a clear choice not to make plastic. Maybe they did things in completely different ways. Maybe they cultivated powers of the human mind that we dismiss and regard as completely unimportant. You know, woo-woo.
Now listen to Hancock supporting this claim by drumming another level to his theory. Watch.
About Egypt and about other things. I mean, the specific example I give is above the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid are 5 further chambers. And these chambers are roofed and floored with granite beams that weigh about 70 tons each. And there are hundreds of them. And these 70-ton granite beams, which to put in context, a 70-ton beam is equivalent in weight to 35 large SUVs. These 70-ton granite beams have been elevated to a height of more than 350 feet above the ground and carefully and precisely placed in position. It is very hard for archaeologists to explain how that was done using purely leverage and mechanical advantage. You can say, oh, perhaps they built a ramp and hauled the stones up the ramp. But then you have to confront basic laws of physics. You can't haul a stone weighing tens of tons up a slope that exceeds 10 degrees. Then you start doing the calculation. How long a ramp do I need with a 10-degree slope to get to 350 feet above the ground? And the answer is you need a fucking long ramp, which should still be there, because it couldn't have been a sand ramp. It would have collapsed under the weight of those stones. It had to be as massive as the pyramid itself. So this begins to seem like an absurd idea, the idea that is foisted on us by archaeology. Maybe the idea that they regard as absurd, namely that psychic powers were cultivated by ancient civilizations, that they could use powers of the human mind that we have allowed to lapse, maybe that idea deserves further consideration.
So far, so good. I can't argue with that. Now, he begins to go off the rails.
Maybe that idea deserves further consideration. We have gone down a path of leverage and mechanical advantage. We're used to relying on machines, but we hear anecdotal reports of people who have telekinetic powers, who can move things with their minds, of people who have telepathic powers. And our automatic reaction is to just dismiss all of that because science says it's impossible, because science regards consciousness as local to the brain and doesn't see how it can exert itself outside of that. But maybe we should open up to those possibilities, that we're dealing with a very different kind of culture that used techniques that we have allowed to lapse. And maybe we could wake those techniques up again. Maybe the ability of human beings to do almost superhuman things is resident within all of us, but sleeping.
That's it. This is where he chickened out. Guys like him just don't cut it when it comes to defending the pre-ancient beings. He chickened out. Why? Because he got scared that he would be discredited as a reputably nutty archaeologist? But he had years of proof. The facts are right in front of him. Why all of a sudden chicken out now? And this guy, James Corsetti, this Boy Scout who seemed to muster up enough courage to take a stand to voice his calling. The pre-ancient beings did build the pyramids and others. Now just listen to how much he butters up his theory on construction techniques done by us.
But there's even more proof that these blocks were not cut with two guys holding onto some handheld saw. This granite sarcophagus is one of many that are on display in the Cairo Museum in Egypt. However, what makes this particular stone box so unique is that it's listed as being discarded by the Egyptians, as on the other side you see that they made a mistake in the cut and it went off center. But this in itself is evidence that the Egyptians were not using some unbelievably slow, primitive handheld saw, because if that was the case, they would have noticed and corrected their mistake almost immediately. The fact that it continued off-center for nearly another 3 feet strongly indicates that they were using a method that was far quicker and superior. The evidence is right in front of us.
Okay, so he's on the ball that it could be the pre-ancients that made this error with quantum technology. Big deal. Now, this is a part where he suddenly got cold feet.
50 million stone blocks. Maybe even closer to 100 million, perhaps. I mean, who knows? Yet you will not find one single example in modern times of a fully cut stone block that was done with these primitive methods. Isn't that interesting? You have the Egyptians with tens of millions of stone blocks, maybe even 100 million. I'm just throwing out a number here, but tens of millions, no doubt. And yet we haven't done one in modern times. It's clear that the ancient Egyptians had some sort of lost technology. And by technology, we shouldn't just think computers and lasers and anything else in our mind. Technology itself can be something quite simple. I mean, even a saddle on a horse is considered a technology.
A saddle is a applied technology. The exclusive technology is the horse and cart. A century ago, a new technology called the motorized vehicle emerged as an exclusive invention to outcompete the slow and expensive horse and cart. So who won in the end? The motorized vehicle, of course, due to the combustion engine as the applied technology, not as the exclusive sum of the invention.
We have to think outside the box, and it doesn't have to involve aliens, because that's usually what people say when they argue against these methods. Say, oh, so let me guess, you think it was aliens, right? It's like, what's that about? Like, I'm not suggesting aliens, and very few people that are discussing these methods have said aliens. It's just that you need to look at this with open eyes and see that the mystery is here.
Yep, he dropped the ball on you. He chickened out. So, what has he been doing over the past 5 years? Researching, studying, examining all the credible evidence leading greatly to the possibility that the pre-ancients did build these monuments? Nothing. Just wasted your time and money. And this leads back to his take on humans using psychedelic drugs to build feats of engineering construction.
You can also observe this same depiction on various hieroglyphs as well. So I'm just going to say it. This makes me wonder if what I saw was similar to something that some Egyptians may have seen as well. I mean, I never made this connection until recently, because it wasn't until I noticed that the lotus flower on these skirts for the first time that made me think of it. Because let me just say, this is much different than what I saw. Like, I saw a feminine face, I guess, and I didn't see anything about Anubis or Horus face on it. And the pyramid shape was up into the chest. So I never ever made the connection on this. But when I saw the lotus flower on the corners of this pyramid shaped skirt, it all of a sudden clicked. Now hang on to that thought while I share a few other details that brings this all together. Getting onto the story of nearly 3 years later, I'm in Egypt in November, December, doing a tour with Yosef Awiyan, who is the son of the legendary tribal elder Akim Abdel Awiyan, who was famously had a role in the Pyramid Code, which starred alongside John Anthony West. It's a docuseries, absolutely fascinating. Wonderful man, by the way. And so he had told the stories of the Cometians, which were the people that were said to exist before the Egyptians that we know about. So that's what he would teach on his tours. And he did not believe that the pyramids were built to be tombs, and neither do I. So I asked Yosef, I said, well, what are the pyramids? And he said that his father had told him that they're us. And instantly, I remembered my DMT experience from, again, nearly 3 years earlier, where I saw this pyramid coming out.
Rumour has it that he went to Egypt, bum around the pyramids, take some measurements, do proof video of his findings, partied all night, got wasted, and did the menage a trois, George Costanza style. Then, on the final leg of his expedition to improve his, at Lowe's image, he got himself butt implants to show off his manpower as a chick magnet. Why not settle for budgie smugglers? This would greatly enhance his butt and limp package by 2%. Then he has the audacity to come back and say this.
And then you have that antenna-shaped thing all on top of it. Is it essentially like saying that our brains are like Wi-Fi? Because this ties into different things that Nikola Tesla had said, that everything was a frequency and vibration, and that he believed ideas were coming to him from the wheelwork of the universe. It's fascinating, and this is one of the most prolific inventors of all time. So it makes me think that this could be reality, as crazy as it may sound. Like I always say, look and think for yourself.
Say what? Now, he's fallen for the false narrative of humans having superpowers to do anything. This man does not have the gumption to be the leading person of his own life. Instead, he is being a best friend to everyone. He is easily fallen for flattery, a means of polishing his ego to a high mirror shine. Then he has the nerve to totally brush off the plausible theory, backed by strong evidence, that pre-ancient beings did in fact build all the monuments on our planet. One more time, James.
Technology. We shouldn't just think computers and lasers and anything else in our mind. That technology itself can be something quite simple. I mean, even a saddle on a horse is considered a technology. We have to think outside the box, and it doesn't have to involve aliens, because that's usually what people say when they argue against these methods. Say, oh, so let me guess, you think it was aliens, right? It's like, what's that about? Like, I'm not suggesting aliens, and very few people that are discussing these methods have said aliens. It's just that you need to look at this with open eyes and see that the mystery is here.
I mean, who's been feeding him this garbage? Rather than accepting pre-ancient beings' credibility of their work, no, he sold out. Sure, be open-minded to all possibilities, but not to the point you get trapped into the sham narrative. Somewhere between his notoriety on the Ricker to bumming around Egypt and interviews with other alternative theorists, he got psychologically compromised. His goal, all along, was to be proven right. That's all his ego wants. Just to get in the club with these armchair weirdos that gives him the license to be proven right. So, 5 years of hard work digging up substantial evidence, proven to lean towards pre-ancient beings did build these monuments, is thrown in the bin. He'll be forever more accepting of their take it was us humans who built them, thanks to powerful drugs that turned us into mutant beings with psychedelic powers. Give me a bloody break. James Corsetti, you're a sellout. Oh, and good luck with those butt implants. So, shoving his dramatisation of stupidity aside, I'm still sticking to my guns no matter what. The UFOs flying around the galaxy aren't bludging around. There is far more to them than what we've been told. The pre-ancient beings possess technology far beyond our current engineering capabilities. We have to stop taking credit for something we did not do. Even these numbnuts couldn't say that. Back to UFOs. If you are the slightest bit interested in UFOs and have genuinely experienced seeing one or two or more in your lifetime, do tell, spill, gush, don't be shy. Send me your stories in videos, photos, or written format on your UFO sighting experience by email. If you're on desktop, you just got to go to the About section on my channel. If you wish to remain anonymous, do say so in the email. Only genuine stories will be counted. Fake ones will not be accepted. I'll be compiling these stories that will be featured in a video segment on strange encounters of the third kind. So, get cracking. Over time, I'll be moving forward with my theory to introduce more stunning evidence that may surprise you. In the meantime, I look forward to hearing your story soon. That's all for now.